Hi, everybody. Here we are on Sunday night as when I'm recording this. It's a quiet night. No college basketball games on, so I figured I'd jump on here and do a quick Friarcast quick hits and get ready for the new week ahead. Two big games with Xavier and Villanova, where Billy Donovan will be there to see his name honored in the rafters. First off, I just want to say, see a lot of stuff on social media complaining about the team, complaining about the coach English, etc. If you're going to be critical of some of the things he's done, and I think there are some very fair criticisms of him to be made, you also have to give him credit for the way this team just fights game in and game out. Doesn't matter the opponent, doesn't matter who's available. He takes whoever's there and works them and tries to fit them into a winning combination. We've had a rough stretch here, but we've lost to the two top teams in the Big East in the last three games, and a Butler team that, even though their record's not good, they're competitive with everyone. They've only had two losses by more than 10 points all year, and that was at Houston and to us at the beginning of the conference play at the AMP. So they're not a team that the record should be judged on just wins and losses. They play everybody tough. We were right there till the end. So I think that, again, you got to give them credit. And, someone like Rich Barron has come back, probably fully healthy for the first time over, his shoulder injury. Maybe having a rest sometime with the concussion helped him rest his shoulder too. Looked much better on offense yesterday, obviously, hitting 7 3-pointers. But he looked more comfortable just playing the game on the floor the last couple of games. So that could be a good sign. And Anton Bonk, who hadn't played in ages, till he made a quick cameo against Creighton and came back yesterday. He wasn't a star. He's clearly a work in progress for the Friars, and somebody who's learning on the fly how to play. But he was credible on the court. He wasn't afraid. He made a couple of good defensive stops, got a nice rebound, a block. Just showed that, again, he's given you all he has. And credit again to the staff for keeping him ready, despite the fact that he hadn't played, I think, in 4 weeks before this past week. Looking at the Creighton game from Wednesday, as much as it sucks playing them, you really have to give Creighton, especially Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth, credit. If you're not involved in a game, it's really a pleasure to watch the way they interact, the way they play together. I would put Ryan Kalkbrenner as my favorite for Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. But I'd also give consideration to Stephen Ashworth for Player of the Year. He's the guy who runs everything for that team now. He's the one who offensively puts all of their players in position to succeed. He's handling the ball constantly the entire game. He barely sits out, especially since they lost Pop Isaacs early in the year. It's just, like I said, it's a pleasure to watch if you enjoy the sport of college basketball. Just wish it wasn't against us. The two of them combined for 60 points the other night. Just very impressive. And, Creighton has righted their ship from early in the year. They're playing a couple of big games this week. No shame in losing to them. And we were right there with them till the end, too. And you saw they came back and beat Marquette yesterday. So they're really on a run. We're also starting to see some growing pains from some of our younger players, especially Oswin and Ryan Mila. I think that's to be expected. This is a much bigger season. It's easy to forget last year Oswin had shoulder surgery, only played in a handful of prep games for Putnam Science. So, there might be a bit of a wall, plus teams are knowing more about what he and Ryan can do on the floor. And, like I said, they've gone against some of the top players in the country. Zubi Ejiofor is as tough a physical center as you're going to find. Ryan Kalkbrennan would be my choice as the first-team All-America center. So, struggling against them isn't easy. And Andre Screen is somebody that I want to say it was Chris Holtman from DePaul. I forget exactly. But one of the coaches said, you just don't realize how big and how long he is with his arms and his body and everything until you go up against him. And I think that, Oswin hasn't faced somebody that much bigger than him before. That's strong and lean and wiry. And I think it was just a tough matchup for him. But, it's a good learning process. And overall, you have to be pleased with the way both of our freshmen are going. Next up, I want to mention Bensley Joseph. He came here after a disappointing season for his Miami Hurricanes last year. Looked good, and I think he felt obviously he was coming here to get back to the NCAA tournament, and with a bunch of injuries, it's been not the year that he planned on. But he gives it his all every minute he's on the court. He makes some mistakes here and there, but he's not afraid of the big moment. He's hitting big shots, and you saw it even in the St. John's game when he struggled with his shot all game. He still managed to get 12 rebounds, added a few other quality parts to the game, had a steal, and then hit that big 3-pointer to tie the game. We just came right down and fired it up. That's a guy who wants to play, and it's a shame we won't see a second year of him because, overall he's done much more than we could have expected. He's actually shooting 47% from three in Big East, which was far better than he's done at any other point in his career. So, just one of those guys who's really given it all. And last, as I always do, I feel, but I don't do it because I like him and he's my favorite player, which is true, but because Corey Floyd just doesn't seem to get the recognition he deserves. And I don't think people who just look at the stat sheet don't appreciate all that he's done this year, especially in conference play. Last week he guarded Simeon Welcher last Saturday. He had Jemiah Neal on Wednesday, and then he kind of bounced around between Pierre Brooks and Jamel Telford, all guys that are bigger than him. And he just took him out of the game, each one of them. It just seemed that Butler was going to whoever he wasn't guarding at any time. I think Telford had one nice basket move on him. Neal might have had one basket on a pick that got set on him while he was while he was guarding him. And Simeon Welcher couldn't do much of anything either. And this is on top of the fact that last week, he took the best player on Seton Hall, Isaiah Coleman, and took him out of the game. He didn't get a basket the entire game against him. I mean, that's just something that you don't see. I mentioned that Ryan Kalkbrenner would be my defensive player in the year. If the Big East has an all-defensive team, I would have Ryan Kalkbrenner, Kadari Richmond, Stevie Mitchell, Corey Floyd on that team. I think that would be, the core group there. Missing one, but I don't really care because there's one other guy we could put on there. But those are the guys. Corey Floyd is an all-conference level defensive player. He was a nice defender last year, fed off Devin Carter well, and this year he's the top defender on the team. And quite frankly, he's the best player on the team right now. He's averaging, I think, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal in Big East play. He's shooting over 50% from the field. If you care about Ken Palm, his numbers in Ken Palm are the best of any of the players, and his offensive rating in what they call they have A and B games, which is I think your top 100 teams you go up against, and then top 50 is your A games, and his rating just gets better as the competition gets better. He's just really coming along strong, and I hope that he's somebody that we can build around for next year's team. So that's what I got here. This week, like I said, we've got Xavier and Villanova. No easy games the rest of the way here, but these are 2 games that, we have a good chance to win. We're on our home court. We're honoring Billy Donovan, who graduated a year after me from Providence on Saturday. So it'll be a good week to get ourselves right back on the right track and hopefully getting the best seed possible for the Big East tournament. Thank you very much, and go Friars.